He limped when he walked. His right arm was nearly useless. And yet, every city that stood in his path was destroyed. Every king who defied him was humiliated. And their people? Their skulls were stacked into pyramids, towers of the dead, tall enough to be seen for miles. This is not a legend. This happened, and the man who ordered it wasn't a monster driven by rage. He was something far more dangerous. He was calculated. This is the story of Tamerlane. In 1336, in a small village in what is now Uzbekistan, a boy was born. His name was Timur. No royal bloodline, no silver throne waiting for him. Just dust, horses, and the vast emptiness of the steppe. But even as a child, Timur wanted more. He learned to ride before most boys could run. He studied warfare the way scholars study books. And then, at some point in his early years, he was struck by arrows in battle. One tore through his right leg. Another shattered his right hand. He survived. But he would walk with a limp for the rest of his life. His enemies called him Timur Timur the Lame. They meant it as an insult. He turned it into a warning. By his mid-30s, Timur had clawed his way to the top of Central Asian politics. Not through luck, through ruthlessness, strategy, and a willingness to betray anyone who stood in his way, including his own allies. By 1370, he controlled all of Transoxiana. By 1380, his armies had consumed Persia. By 1390, he had defeated the Golden Horde, descendants of Genghis Khan himself. The man who limped when he walked had built the largest empire since Genghis Khan. But none of it, Abo. Not one battle, not one conquest, would reveal what Timur truly was. Not until Delhi. In 1398, Timur turned his eyes south, toward India, toward the Delhi Sultanate, one of the wealthiest kingdoms on earth. His generals had questions. Why risk such a long campaign? Why invade a land known for its jungles, its diseases, its rivers? Timur's answer was simple. The Sultan of Delhi was weak. His empire was fracturing, and weak empires don't survive Timur. The march toward Delhi was already a massacre, village after village, town after town. Timur's soldiers left nothing standing. It wasn't chaos. It was a message. Surrender now, or this is what comes for you. Some cities surrendered. Some did not. Those that did not were burned. But Delhi was different. Delhi had something Timur's soldiers had never faced before, something that stopped even his most hardened commanders. War elephants. The Sultan of Delhi had hundreds of them, armored, trained to charge, a wall of living, breathing destruction. Timur's generals begged him to retreat. Even his best cavalrymen refused to ride toward them. Horses flee from elephants by instinct. There was no training that could fix that. So Timur didn't fight the instinct. He used it. He loaded hay onto camels, set the hay on fire, and drove the burning camels directly into the elephant line. The elephants panicked. They turned. They ran back into their own army. Hundreds of Delhi's soldiers were crushed beneath the feet of their own war beasts. Delhi's defenses collapsed in hours. The city, one of the greatest in the world, was wide open. And that is when Tamerlane made a promise he could not keep. Timur had ordered his army to spare the city. No looting, no killing. Delhi would be taken, but it would be kept intact. His soldiers ignored him. The looting began almost immediately. Delhi's citizens fought back, and Timur, faced with open defiance, made a decision. He ordered a general massacre. What followed lasted 3 days. 3 days of killing so complete, so total, that contemporary historians struggled to describe it. One account says the streets ran with blood. Another says the air itself smelled of death for weeks. The number that historians repeat most often, 90,000 dead. Then came the pyramids. Timur ordered his soldiers to collect the skulls, not to bury them, not to burn them, to stack them, tower by tower, pyramid by pyramid, built outside the city walls where every traveler, every merchant, every soldier, every ambassador would pass by them. This was not rage. This was not madness. This was architecture, a message written in bone. Defy me, and this is what remains of you. Delhi, one of the most magnificent cities on earth, was so completely destroyed that it took over a century to recover. One chronicler wrote simply, "Not a bird moved on the wing in Delhi for months." Here is what makes Tamerlane different from other brutal conquerors. Delhi wasn't an exception. It was a pattern. Isfahan, 1387. The city revolted against Timur's tax collectors. His response? 70,000 people killed. 28 towers of skulls erected inside the city itself. Not outside the walls, inside. So the survivors, if there were survivors, would live in the shadow of them. Baghdad, 1401. Another revolt, another massacre, another 90,000 dead. Another forest of skull towers rising over the ruins. Aleppo, Smyrna, Tbilisi. The pattern repeated across an entire continent. But here is the part that almost no one talks about. The same man who built towers from human skulls
The work of Timur
also
perhaps.
built the most beautiful mosques in the world.
Carved in bone.
Samarkand was Timur's capital, and it was breathtaking. Every architect, every artist, every scholar Timur's armies encountered in the cities they destroyed, they were not killed. They were kidnapped, taken back to Samarkand, put to work. The mosques they built still stand today. The libraries they filled contained knowledge from 3 continents. Samarkand under Timur became one of the most advanced cities on earth. Built on the forced labor of survivors, funded by the looting of destroyed kingdoms, decorated by artists who had watched their cities burn. Tamerlane was not simple. He was not purely destructive. He was something stranger, and in some ways more disturbing. He was a man who believed in civilization, just not in the right of other civilizations to exist.
Look here, do you see it?
Tamerlane died in 1405 on his way to invade China. He had killed, by historians' best estimates, 17 million people, 5% of the entire world's population at that time. Today, in Uzbekistan, he is a national hero. A statue stands in the center of Tashkent. His face is on the currency. Schools are named after him. And then, there is the tomb. In 1941, Soviet archaeologists opened Timur's burial chamber in Samarkand. Inside, carved into the stone, they found an inscription. "Whoever opens this tomb shall unleash an invader more terrible than I." 2 days later, Hitler invaded the Soviet Union. Coincidence? Almost certainly. But history has a way of making you wonder. Tamerlane built pyramids from 90,000 skulls. He also built some of the most beautiful buildings in human history. He was a monster. He was a genius. He was, perhaps, both. History rarely gives us simple villains, just complicated ones. If this story stayed with you, subscribe. We tell one story at a time, and the next one? It's already waiting.